Hi, my name is Jaksik, aka Annika. Welcome to my channel. And today we are embarking on filming and on your side watching third part of my uncut coloring process of this page in Matchstick Mouse Winter, as you could see from the cover. It's one of my favorite coloring books by Morgan O'Brien. Like most of his stuff, especially kind of newer stuff, where he has a bit more characters and variety, while still keeping the core characters, which I really like. Anyways, here we are. So we have done the base with alcohol markers, or HoHo markers were used in this case. And then I did the shading on top with Prismacolor pencils. And today we are going to do all the detailing. So we're going to make snow nice and white. We are going to possibly add some gel pens. We're going to add snowfall, which is already partly there. We're also going to cover and disguise couple of lines a bit more than they are at the moment, although I did try to do most of the kind of line disguising either with light pencils or just putting good contrast next to them, so I wouldn't need to do much of a line covering, but I still will do some. So there, let's get cracking without further ado. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the snow white. No, first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually zoom in to the book so you can see what I'm doing. Okie doke. I still am on the fence about what I'm going to do with the little bog here. I thought about maybe putting some highlights with pencils into it to give it more of a 3D feel, but I have a funny suspicion that that wouldn't really look that great. It being so tiny here, it just wouldn't show. I think I have to go with a really deep dark, and I might actually try to do it with Sakura Jelly Roll Black. But I haven't decided that 100% yet, so we'll get there. We'll get there. First thing first. Now, I started to put kind of once again last night when I was finished, I couldn't hold myself back, and I did put some white on the snow here already. So we'll just carry on distributing the snow. For some areas, I will possibly use a bit of a water brush as well. I'm using this one quite often. Okay, I'm still not finding that sweet spot for showing things with the new camera. I'm using web camera now for filming, so I have permanent setup. I don't have to fiddle with my phone and setting up everything. It's just up there, but it does need laptop on my desk permanently as well, so I had to rearrange everything. But now I'm using the brush marker, and I'm using brush marker that is with that white brush marker that has that direct feed system. It does not matter what brand it is, as long as it's one of the juicier, more opaque variety. This specific one is Guangna, but most of the bigger brands and smaller brands have a white brush marker. The ones that produce, obviously, the brush markers of that kind of acrylic variety. Who has one? Artex has one. There's loads of them around. Any white acrylic brush marker will do. I have to say that the ones that don't have the direct feeding system, or juicy ink system like I call it, they will be a bit anemic for it. So you possibly might even use just acrylic paint with the brush. That could also work. Also, if you have SimTap, by any chance, just mentioning that. This one is getting a bit dry. That's why I'm not using it for it. I need to break into my other white. I do have a spare white, but I don't want to go looking for it because I have another one on the desk here. But these ones are also nice, good, and opaque, and give out plenty of paint to cover the snow. So nothing particularly super complicated here. So I'm actually starting with that from the top of the page here, and I'm putting some white to the edges of that pom-pom. And I'm doing it little. And why I like the brush markers best for that sort of a work is that the line is just softer. And it does look more painterly, and the result is kind of more natural. Sometimes I do what I did here. I dab the bottom of the line to diffuse it a bit, soften it, and get it into the kind of, so there wouldn't be any feel of the line around item at all. Sometimes I don't do that. So here what I'm doing is I'm adding some bit of a texture into the pom-pom as well, like this. There we go. Once again, the moment I start filming, of course, I will sneeze it. That would be very typical. Let me wait a second. Excuse me. This is weird. I usually, I don't really have sniffles at the moment yet. I start filming it. There they come. Now for that tree, I'm trying to be very sparing. I'm just barely touching, but I am going to add a bit of that brightness. And there I'm not going all around the white snowy bits, but I sometimes am extending them out more. For example, I'm adding a bit of snow there. There's also snow on top of the tree here, like this. Just, you don't have to exactly follow. Since you're working with opaque material, you don't have to exactly follow sometimes what the artist has put down if you feel that it would look better or more interesting if you add it a little bit, because now I think it looks more interesting at the back there. And now I'm starting to work on this side. I already put some onto the snow caps on top of the branches. Here, because there's quite a bit of white, strong white at the top of those snowy bits, I don't really need to diffuse them with a brush too often. Mostly I just leave them to be. So, but I also don't want to see the black lines, so I'm putting just with gentle dabs white paint on top of all the snow little mounds at the back. And sometimes I'm extending them out a bit. And the main thing is just to get rid of the black here. And the moment you get rid of the black and put the bright white highlights of the snow on, the whole tone of the scene changes. So that is why, okay, there's a little bit of a white there possibly. That's why it's a good idea to do it. Here I feel like a bit of a softening here at the bottom would actually be to my benefit. And I'm not trying to be super heavy coverage. I'm just more so taking away that black line feel. If there's some tiny bit of the black line sometimes glowing through it, it doesn't really matter, especially if you're looking at the picture from the kind of a viewing distance. If you put your head very close, yes, you're going to see them possibly glow through. But from normal viewing distance, you really don't. But if you want to put more in, then I usually just kind of dab a little bit more paint in. And one thing that I haven't actually done very well here is to give it a good shake before I started using it. It was my own fault, because that makes the paint immediately more opaque. And because it's a brush, you can make some line areas pretty thin and then put a little bit more pressure on, and you get heavier lines. Plus, of course, now take into consideration why I'm not working super hard to do like really opaque coverage here, is that I am going to put a little bit of a stickles there as well. That is going to also disguise things and cover things, so it doesn't really need to be super well covered. But if I want to get the result I want, I do need to kind of take out the black lines there. They just, in the snow, it just hinders me. If I left the black lines in, if that was my plan, then I would have needed to make the snow shadows way less and leave way more white into the snow. But I like to do fairly strong shadows and then add the extra white in afterwards. This is just, it just looks better to me. But this is a very individual thing, as I said. Absolutely no rules to it. And as I've said before, these videos, 3D videos, I'm not cutting anything. I'm pretty much doing the rare thing I haven't really been doing much before, that I'm essentially just filming what I'm doing. That is why I broke this process of coloring this relatively simple image into three, because otherwise it just gets too long. But I told myself, no, I'm going to do it properly uncut, so the whole process is very much displayed. Okay. And here I'm going to put some white on top of that. And here I kind of feel I need a tiny bit of softening here at the bottom. When I soften, because it's acrylic paint, I wipe the brush into the tissue after most of the times I'm touching it to the acrylic paint, because otherwise it can essentially solidify your water brush. Although water brush is less likely to get ruined very fast because there's constant flow of water into it, so it doesn't just dry out on you. But if you work with regular brushes, acrylic, you definitely need to rinse pretty fast, because acrylics dry fast. So if you don't, you're going to end up with a solid brush, and those are almost impossible to wake up. But here, yeah, water brush wouldn't really get ruined so fast. Okay. I'm bringing in some of that white as well, and now I'm going to diffuse a little bit the bottom of the line. We would have a bit softer result. Okay. And here, once again, and here as well, I feel that I need to slightly diffuse the bottom of the line. But often when I have diffused, I have taken also a tiny bit off the black line, so I go back in and dab tiny bit of acrylic paint back onto that, now showing gray line, sorry. And here as well. Okay. You can see how much now the Matchstick mouse came forward in the image, because there's now that overwhelming mishmash of dark lines at the back anymore. the whole background has lightened. So I don't know if I should put a tiny bit here in the ground as a, just a little bit, but not too much, because I don't want it to be. I'm going to actually wash it out. I just lightened this. I'm just using it like hazy lightness there. I don't want really stark white lines here near the ground. But I did lighten things a tiny bit. Okay. And now I have this bit here. These bits, not this bits. These bits here to work over. So once again. And here the snow is basically going out of the frame the way Morgan has drawn it. So I'm going with it and I'm letting it to go out of the frame. I think actually it looks kind of cool. So I'm pressing on the brush now quite hard. Sorry, it wasn't very well visible here, so I'm taking it out. I actually pressed on the brush here quite hard and made those lines here pretty wide, making this area quite white, and then taking it into the black lines as well. And here as well I'm going to slightly soften the lines. It's just very quick swipe with a damp brush. It's better if it's a damp brush, not very wet brush, because if it's very wet it just creates it takes too much paint and puts too much moisture into it and dilutes the paint too much, and you end up taking away the coverage it provides. But yeah, slightly damp brush is better. So I'm taking it here. There we go. And as I've said before, I really like this slightly more painterly, not very super neat effect of the way I'm doing that style of a snow. You could, and I could do also very, very softly blended, very neat looking snow, but I like this more irregular, haphazard shadows a bit more, because it gives more of a feel of a texture and a bit of a more dynamic feel. Okay, and here, okay, I need to get that one here as well. All right, and the snow mount here, and I'm taking it up slightly if I feel like, yeah, I would like to take a bit up, and I'm taking that one there, and now I'm quickly going in and just swiping over the bottoms of these lines, and the result is much smoother because of that. And I'm going to go here as well. These bits are now going to be almost the last ones I need to cover snow-wise. As I said, I'm not going super nuts and get it like blindingly bright. There is small, not transparency, but yeah, haziness to those snow tops. But this is actually good because I want the snowfall, at least part of the snowfall, to be pretty strong, and that is going to be the strongest white essentially on the image. I am going to add it the very last, because it's going to be on top of everything. Also, it's going to be, of course, behind everything. So there's going to be a fair bit of snowfall here. So for the snow to be actually visible on top of the snow, it can't be the whitest white in the image. So you kind of have to, think ahead a little bit. If you want to put white on top of white, this white can't be very white. I don't know if that make now any sense. Made my head, but I'm sorry if you were subjected to my weird brain. Okay, so here's the kind of and you see how I'm actually pressing quite heavily on the brush here. I'm going to give nice strong white outline, and here I'm going over that line like this, the top of it in this case, and I'm not trying to get it very even. if it's diffusing upwards in a bit of an irregular line, it actually looks more natural. If you know what I mean. Okay, so now I'm putting that one on the side. Oh, there's going to be also this pom-pom here, so I'm going to put that one in as well. I don't think I'm going to do much else with that one. I'm just leaving it like fun white. Okay, now I also thought to add a bit of extra pink, softening some areas, highlighting on the hat, because I wasn't very happy how the stops came out. On some lines, the Prismacolor pencil pretty much took them out all right. For example, the trees here, I don't really feel to put anything there. But on the hat and on the ear there, I'm not really particularly happy. Now for this one, I'm going to use acrylic marker that isn't super opaque. I have these double-sided ones. They are, I think, by Guangna. I like these ones a lot for work like that. Kind of a softer line covering. If, you know, once you get me know better, you see that these would be my favorite ways of line covering. But also that work really well, or all right for this one, is I have these ones as well. They are Artex ones. Let me take you out of the zoomed image. They're Artex ones, these ones. Not now the Simtap ones, because they're nice and opaque, but Artex has that style of a brush marker as well, like that. White-bodied ones usually, yeah. And they have this brush, so there's no feeding system like the other ones, which are like super juicy. Okay, now you can see. And you can also see that it's manky. There's some paint I've leaked in it. But essentially, yeah, these ones are also okay for work that I'm going to do. Basically the foam core ones. I might even leave it out just in case I decide that I need to look for some extra colors, but usually this set is alright. The ones that I'm using are in this set. This one can be now hard to find, I think. But if you look for double-sided acrylic markers, you should probably find, you know, something that is white labeled. Something similar or pretty much the same, essentially. They are, yeah, they're not like super opaque, but very nice for softer line coverage, which I often prefer. So actually I decided to go for the warm brown first, and I'm going to take this color. I'm gonna pull out a notebook where I can kind of quickly put down some color so I can show. Let me zoom you in again, so everything is going to be above the board. And this is the color. And this, I love brush markers because I can do like super thin lines like this, or nice and thick line, should I desire to. And if I work quickly, now I have to really keep the water brush handy. If I work quickly, I can still take out and soften things if I need to. So the first thing I'm going to do here is that I'm going to do the top of her ear. And you see how this coverage is a bit softer? Okay, my angle is a bit off. I should have turned the book. Sorry, I'm struggling a bit too. So I'm softening the bottom of the acrylic line into the, and then going back to the top and adding a little bit extra on the black line. Just working back and forth essentially. And I'm not trying to cover it utterly or, you know, cover the whole line. I'm essentially creating this kind of a highlight at the top and leaving it at that. And that takes care of that. For me, it was annoying that there was really strong black line there. In this specific image, I did not want it. And here also, I will put a little bit of the brown. You can see how I'm putting it on top of the ear here. And then quickly kind of sharpening the ends of that line. Getting rid. Okay, and here I softened the line, but I also took accidentally off some from the line. So I'm going to go back very quickly and gently over the line. And that gives me a softer look. And I also will just throw, and now I'm holding it like I'm going to barely touch the paper. I'm going to try to work like really, really thin line. And like any acrylic, it will go down. It lightens as it dries. So I'm just kind of pulling a couple of really, really thin, slight texture lines into the mouse's body. And right little highlight hairs with it on the edges. Oops, and if I get something a bit too strong, I'm just going to smear it out with my finger and go in on top of it again and get something lighter like this. And with here, so just some quick texture lines there. This one, I can either do or skip. Sometimes I don't bother doing that. And sometimes I do that with gel pens. But I do like the softness of the acrylic finish a bit better. So I'm not going to go overboard with it. I'm not going to try to cover every line or whatever. I'm just adding a bit. And here as well, I could, maybe add a little bit of a highlight to this part of her head, softening the tip of the line here so it would kind of go smoother. And I'm not doing the full highlight for the whole face. I'm just throwing the highlight in onto that curve. Especially considering that I deliberately made the on top of the nose quite dark. So if I put a super stark highlight in this light, it would not look great. If I was going for rim lighting, things would be different, but I'm not. And here now I'm taking this pink color. In this instance, in this set, it's 281 if you happen to have that set, but not too many people do. And it wasn't very popular set because the way people wanted to use them, they went very good for it, to have good coverage, bigger areas, or maybe color by number, good coverage. And that is not what I use them. I use them kind of like soft coverage like this. More so softening lines than covering them. And essentially painting over with them a bit. So I'm putting that into the line here on the bottom and a little bit on the top of the ear as well. And I'm being quite gentle here when I'm bringing that brownish line and then pinkish line together. Now, gave it a very slight swipe. And you can see I'm not trying to totally get rid of black lines. I'm just softening them. And I'm also going to put that slightly on top of those harsh black lines here. Just very, very gently, barely touching the paper so the line would be fairly thin. And that just softens the effect of the ear as well. And now I had already, when I was testing the pens, put a little bit of that on top of the hat. I'm going to leave it like that because I didn't like how the top of the hat looked. Now I'm kind of happy with it. Now I have to turn because often the way I need to swipe in my hand, I need to have a certain angle. So I will need to make you a bit dizzy there. Sorry about that. And once again, I'm going to put a bit of a highlight there. And here as well, I need to soften it slightly. Now, but it does look cleaner now. I had already put the Prismacolor white on there, and sometimes it's enough, but sometimes it doesn't, it looks a bit rough. So this method that I'm using here, not doing it with very strong gel pens, this works for me the best. and I like the results the best. Okay. Now, just adding a little extra. Okay. And to me, it's not important to cover every single black line. Black line irritates me if it's very close to something that, if it's very prominent, if it takes over, if there's no contrast next to it, and it just dominates the image. So I might go over here and there a little bit. And here now, the other bits that I'm putting it onto nose, but not to the whole nose, just the top of the nose, like this. And it just changed the look of the nose. I am putting it on top of the toes a little bit. Actually, I'm not sure that is a good idea. I might actually put gel pen in there, because those are very small and it's very hard to get a good result there. I'll see if I'm going to put it into the tail. And just putting it on top of the area here, the flat area, where it would be more kind of exposed to light. I made the other end of it deliberately kind of a darker. So I'm leaving that to be. But I put a bit of a highlight, extra highlight on top of the tail here. It's just, to me, it looks better. And I might try to work on the worm a bit as well. Once again, I had to turn the page a bit to be able to do that. And I'm putting it here at the front, the top of the nose here. And the rest of the worm, I'm going to soften it. I still want to outline it, but I'm going to outline it with actually darker pink or red. It's because that look to me, if I outlined the whole worm with light pink, it would just look weird. It wouldn't look great. But outlining it with darker pink or red actually gets rid of the kind of a black outline, and it would look much better. Now I want a tiny bit of yellow, and of softening the edges of the scarf here as well. So I need yellow. What is yellow? Something lightish. So let's see. Yellows tend to be not very opaque in this set at all. This is 301 in case you have that set, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, these yellows are kind of useless. I need to use different yellows. Yellows in that set tend to be quite transparent. Kind of need to experiment a bit sometimes. Maybe you'll find a better one in a set. Occasionally you do, like this one has a little bit more of a coverage. But it's kind of exactly what I'm looking for, because as I said, I don't want to do really strong, harsh cover of the yellow. I want to soften the lines more so than cover the lines. It's just the look I prefer to really strong, harsh outlining. Well, sometimes I like to do strong outlining as well. I can't really say that, I never do it. But I think that this looks kind of more organic. Now, yeah, there's not much else I might add. And with that one also, what is good about kind of transparent layers like this is when I go over slightly the outlines here, and by the time it dries really fast, so by the time I get them all covered like this, give them a little coat, knock them back, knock the black back, they're essentially dry enough now to go on top of them again and add another layer. And if you wanted to, you can quickly go and get actually quite opaque result, back and forth like this, until you decide that this is okay. Once again, I am not really hung on trying to pretend that there's no lights. There are lines, sorry. There are lines, and I'm fine with it. I just want to knock them back a bit. No, and what else? Oops, I just saw that I had forgotten to put snow here. I bet you that some of you were shouting at me. You forgot that snow. Okay, so I will give it full coverage like this, and I'm going to go over the edges of the white and soften it in slightly like this, so it's nice. And here as well, I'm going to do the tops of the snow like this. Here we go. Keep it a bit 3D. And here this bit is I did totally miss these. But hey, I did notice them eventually. Yeah. None of us is perfect. Here we go. Okie doke. Now I will also need something red that I would like to put into the scarf. Let's see. That red maybe? It's kind of a pretty warm, vibrant, but light red. 326. And I will put that tiny bit of that into the lines here, but it's comparatively actually opaquer than I want and possibly warmer than I want, but no, it looks fine. Just dab in a tiny bit. I'm just softening the lines that I feel are a bit too dark. Like that. Not much, not super strong. And here I'm also going to give a bit of a fluffy texture, so I'm flicking it in to the bottom of the pom-poms to make them look fluffier. And once again take away a little bit of the blackness of the edge there. There we go. That's sorted. No, I need some gel pens, I think. I need to put away the acrylic markers, and I need to pull out some gel pens. Not too much, but I do need them in a couple of little areas here. So I'm going to stick my head under the desk. That's where I keep my everything, essentially. Okay, so let me put you on a bigger shot so you can see what I'm doing here. So I pulled out my gel pen basket, and I'm going to pick. Oh, I need definitely one of these would go nicely for the worms. This is actually a new set, or newish set, that I had been kind of wishing for that they would release, and now they did. Langua 0.5mm gel pens. They have a nice set of beautiful deep reds, which I had been looking for, and which I will use for that kind of a outlining the tail and the worm, and giving them darker red outlines as opposed to just taking away the black. But I will use the kind of a dark red, and also the toes and stuff like this. And what other gel pen did I need? I had something. Oh, I need some eventually some greens, I think, as well. And I will give pink outlines to these, actually, to that plant here. I think it would look cute, but maybe I'm wrong, in which case I can just wash it away because they are water soluble. Now I will choose the outline for the worm. Let me see. Where's my wonderful book? Where's the correct shot? Okay. So this one looks like a nice red for it. It's slightly on a cooler side, which is what I'm looking for here. It can't be overly warm. Kind of a coral red. So I'm just taking this color and just going over the outline with it. It's still fairly strong, you know, dark color, but see how it just makes it look so much better. Just taking away that black. And I have to work, especially because of the angle, I have to work like this. And now the top of it, I leave that soft highlight there, but the rest of the body has stronger, darker outline. And there's kind of those texture stripes in the worm's body, which I also kind of flick over. And here also the feet of the mouse. I'm going to put red outlines into it, at least on the top, like this. And see, to me, they look much better like that than trying to cover them utterly. Okay, and here we go. And I'm going to do the same thing now with the tail. Taking out the black here. And those black lines on the tail, I'm also bringing some red upwards over these, very gently. Like that. Here we go. Okay, it seems to be that I've clogged it a tiny bit. So sometimes it's a good idea to kind of just take a regular paper, and if it doesn't seem to be as juicy or go down as smooth, you just dribble it out, because sometimes the pencil wax can make the gel pens a little bit temperamental, although Langua actually holds up to it pretty well. I can't complain, but there are moments that you need to kind of just make a quick scribble on a piece of paper, and that's enough, you know, no fancy stuff needed. There we go. I just softened the transition from the darker red into the pink, and doesn't that tail just look so much better now? Okay, and here I'm putting it on top of the hand, here like this, and here on top of the hand as well, like this. I just think it looks better. And here on the nose, I'm also like this, softened the bit that doesn't have the highlight. And there we go. I think it's starting to look pretty all right. Now I need to get choose some pinks for these edges, and I actually want to outline these in greens. So let me see. I will put that one back. These ones live in the box at the moment because I don't have sheets to store them on. I'm gonna show you in a second. That is how I store my gel pens. They come actually in a kind of a storage bag with 3 of those sheets, I think. But I just, you know, leave the bags, never put them in the bags. I have them propped up like this, and it's so easy to see your pens then and pick up what you need. So I need something cool pink. It might actually be the Sakura I might be going for. Or maybe this one. Let me see. I'm going to try here. Yeah, at the moment this one seems to be a better option. So to brighten these outlines here, because the tips of the leaves are pink, I'm actually bringing the pink in like this to there. So making it more prominent. I think it will add the interest to the leaves, and it's just a bit different. There is still quite strong green shadow there, so it's not like I'm getting rid of the green, but yeah, just having a bit of. This is very individual. If you wanted to do those just, nice green gradient and put just green outline or no outline at all, absolutely. Outlining isn't by any means something that is super never decisive or you know make or break type of a thing. It's a matter of how you feel about that page. If you want to soften the look, what final look do you want? On some pages I don't do any outlining. Some pages I do heavy outlining. In some pages I just toss in a couple of soft highlights here and there and leave it at that. Now now and I think it kind of woke up that plant here a bit, and I'm also going to do the same thing here on the ground, because that leaf, in my head anyway, is coming from that plant up there. So I'm also having the pink outlines. But sometimes I don't put the pink outlines all the way. I kind of flick them to the tops of the page, the leaves, and leave the bottom of the leaf pretty much alone. Basically leave the black outline there. And here on this leaf we also have a bit of a pink in, but I actually want it kind of all around it now. And here this bit of a leaf also has pink tip, and you can see how I flick it in, and sometimes I go pretty thick in some areas and sometimes I'm very very thin on the line. Just kind of go with the feel. Sometimes I outline the whole thing. Here I might outline the whole thing, though I don't really like it now. No. Yeah. See, I just took it off. That's the beauty of the gel pens like this, that they're very easy to take off. So I just left the pink outline to some parts of the leaf. And I have a feeling that I should have actually added a little bit more shadow in the grass. I might pull out extra pencils for that. Sometimes after outlining you get that feel, or in the middle of outlining, that you suddenly know what you did wrong. So I'm pulling pencils that I have near me, which aren't, they're actually polychromos. Okay, they're not Prismacolors. But I'm going to take, I see if I can get some chrome oxide green here underneath the leaf. Can I get it darker? The shadows, and a bit more defined, and here as well underneath that leaf, which was kind of like sitting here in the grass. And It looked very flat. So I'm trying to put some extra shadow area here. And to now tie that to other places, not to leave it just in one spot. I'm going to put some near the mouse. Okay, and flick some up in some places as well. We remember how I was flicking the grass, or kind of a texture up everywhere. And I'm pulling some grass shoots like this over the outline of the leaves as well, so they wouldn't look like they're hovering. They're part of the scene. And this only now works when the outline is already there, the pink outline, so it gets interrupted slightly. And I'm not like trying to make it supernatural grass or anything, because nobody's going to be staring at that grass very closely. This is just kind of so your eye would quickly perceive it as a grass when you look at the image. Okay, so now I think I still need to do... Well, I need some blue as well. I wanted some darker blue. I just took now Prussian blue for the glasses of the little wormy, whatever its name is. I'm going to add some extra kind of like shadows and stripes in, so they would look a bit more dramatic, like shadowed, like this. Just a little bit, not much was needed at all. So you kind of play and keep adjusting things as you go on. Right, sorry, I need to close that pencil case so we wouldn't have any disasters accidentally. Okie doke. Now white gel pen, and I'm going to add tiny bit of white into that tooth here. I'm not taking the black outline altogether, I'm just adding a bit of a brightness there so we wouldn't lose that tooth thing. And now I need the slim gel pen, and I'm going to make sure that it's scribbled out and everything is working fine. And this bit, it's rough most of the time. I always struggle with it. The whiskers. So I'm starting from the top, and I'm making the top kind of like anchored with a bit of a dot there. And then I'm moving backwards, gently, 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 keeping the line as thin and soft as I can. And here as well, I'm starting at the top with a bit of a dot so that it would be anchored. And now I'm trying to keep it like very, very slim. I'm barely grazing the paper so it wouldn't look very heavy, the whisker. And afterwards, I might, with the blending pencil or something like that, kind of tidy up the top if I feel it's too thick at the top or something. Now, there we go. We have the whiskers. Okay, and now I need to get the back glaze pen working. That can be a bit of a challenge, especially if they get very low like this one. It's like barely anything left there. Then the flow actually, in my experience anyway, is slightly reduced. It's not as juicy as it was anymore at first. Technically it shouldn't really affect it, but in my opinion it does. So sometimes it takes a little while before you get it going, so it will actually come out nice and shiny and juicy again. So I will just usually take that time as opposed to try it on the page, because once you get it down pretty, even in a crappy layer like that, it takes a while to dry, so you could go over it again. I think I'm kind of getting there. I don't really need it to be super shiny and super dimensional. I just need it to be nice and dark. And I'm actually going to now go and try to go over that little bug. Is it an ant? I think it's an ant. Looks a bit like ant. I've always wondered, is it an ant? I've covered, I colored it so many times. Yeah, I think I might be able to. Yeah, I think it's going to be fine. It's just giving it better definition. And a little bit, because of that shine, you also get a tiny bit of the 3D feel, especially if you move the page. So to me, it's worth it. Just looks better. Especially considering that I never know how to, if I went to actually color it. I have tried, I think at some stage to kind of go over it. Sorry, I was out of shot the whole time. You can see now what I was doing. I have tried to kind of properly cover it and put some shading maybe in and stuff like this, but it has never really worked very well for me. So I find that just making it extra dark and really nice and dark actually works better for me. Okay, and now I need something. I actually will use acrylic markers, so I'm going to put gold and silver. And for the, actually I might not do gold, I might do purple for the glasses, the frames, which means I have to find purple. Okay, I found it. Purple acrylic marker. Those are the metallic golden shine markers. Okay, and it does work. Quick scribble was made. And I'm going to give those glasses purple frames. Yeah, just for funsies. Plus, it kind of ties up a little bit with the background here. I've been trying to kind of occasionally tie things to the background here. And now I need silver, and the silver is simply needed to add a bit of an interest and bring more out. The shovel in the bug's hand, I'm going to go over it with silver. Just for funsies. I know it doesn't really, too much, but at least with the light now, it is showing better if you move it. Before that, it was kind of getting lost altogether. Okay, so now, well, I was thinking if I would put in the sparkles first or the snow first, and I would need to wait until the sparkles are totally dry to put most of the snow in. So what I'm going to do is to put kind of main snow in and maybe eventually add a little bit more if I feel like this is necessary. But I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, so one thing that sometimes is nice to do, I hope it's working well again. I'm going to test. Okay, these are white Pitt brush pens, and they are not totally opaque. If you look at this kind of a darkish background, they give this slightly hazy white mark. They are really nice for adding soft highlights, and also you can build on that. They dry permanent, so you can go on top of them several times until you have a little brighter highlight. They're really great at putting highlights in it like that, or a bit of a haze or a smoke or something like that. What I'm going to use them for here is some really faint dots in the background, tiny dots that look like more distant snow, because the snow that is on the closer to you, foreground. It's going to be strong and white and stark. But we also want to show that there's snow in the distance as well. So this one is best shown with some more transparent white like this. And it just look, once I get it done, I'm going to lift it a bit closer. So it looks like the distant snowflakes. It goes on, at first it looks, fairly white, but as it dries it actually becomes paler, and that's exactly what I'm looking for here. So, and I'm putting that into the areas, or onto the areas that are more distant, further away, because it wouldn't really be, very close to me. Most of the snowflakes would be brighter and lighter, whereas these ones are far away. So I'm putting some, and also making sure that I will always put, if it's snowing, it's not going to be avoiding trees and so on. So put them everywhere. I'm sparing at putting them onto the characters' faces, although, yeah, I know that, that snow also wouldn't be avoiding that, but it's still, something I prefer not to totally disguise, but I will still put a couple of snowflakes, faint ones, onto their faces as well. Now, and here, the top of the nose of the little wormy. Once again, I turned the page. I'm actually going to add some bit of extra of that soft white just to lighten it further. Okay, there we are. Are we now all in shot? Okay, the pom-pom it's not really worrying me much at the moment, so I'm going to leave it like that. I might make the highlight on the eye a bit bigger eventually, but now we're going to go in with the snow again, so I'm going to take the direct feed white again, and I'm now going to put in bigger and small. Oh, I meant to show you that kind of pit pen snow, distant snow, so you can see how subtle it is. You wouldn't do the full snowfall with it, but it's really nice when it's among other snowflakes, because then it gives that feel that the snowflakes are at the different distances. And important things about snowfall is, of course, that you make the dots different sizes. Try not to kind of group them in organized little sets. There you go. So now usually when I concentrate like that, I tend to kind of go a bit quiet. Oops, I forgot to put something into those stitches there on the hat. I just grabbed a gold acrylic marker and I put kind of little decorative stitches, but maybe like metallic decorations there. So some bigger, some smaller. Now and now you can see how well that snow is also showing on other snow. And also we're going to have it on the spoon, on the hand of the mouse. I do try to kind of limit how many snowflakes I am dropping onto the actual mouse itself, but it is important not to go too sparse there, that there's no snow at all on the characters. To me anyway it is. I like that look better. This is once again individual thing. I keep talking as if, my word is a law, and it certainly is not. Yeah. Okay. And some of the snowflakes are real big, some of tiny, tiny dots. Some are pretty nice and juicy. And making sure that I'm putting them onto the tree as well. Some snow falling onto the little worm. So that's how it shows now. And sometimes I feel that I need to also sharpen the highlights on top of the snow mounds here. So since I have my white acrylic marker in hand, I might do a bit of that as well. And these, I think, in my head, they seem to be like little powder of snow that is falling off the cap here. So I'm going to cover them up as well. Just all adds to the overall look. Okay. So putting some snow here, some snow here. Okay. Some snow falling there. I usually don't put much onto the face, but I will put some little dots there. So it would look a bit better. Okay, and the bits here. All right. And then the ones at the back, I wasn't sure if I was going to do these with super stark, the huge ones there, that I was doing them with a super stark gel pen, because that's how you get the strongest, kind of brightest whites. But I think I'm going to leave them in this slightly softer white that is acrylic brush marker. And then I'm dotting in some really tiny ones in some places, just to keep the look even. No, and I think we're kind of getting there. Yeah, I don't think we have much long to go. No, and I wasn't sure if I was going to want to put a tiny bit of gel pen grass there, and I have a feeling that maybe it needs a little bit, not something very kind of strong and bright, but something would be nice. Let me see. I had those sage greens someplace. That's very typical. Okay, these greens. All right. So I thought about maybe something like this color. No, that's the wrong one. The warmer one, because I did make this bit of grass fairly warm. If I put very cold tones there, I might take this one. It wouldn't look correct. So I might, those little clumps of grass that Morgan put down, I might, and if it looks like, there's no color at all at the moment, I'm just putting little bits down, just in small areas here and there, couple of blades of grass, bringing it up into and it does lighten as it dries. So when it looks at first like there's nothing there, it lightens a bit when it dries. Just taking the black away here. And I will put something slightly lighter there as well, just for a couple of blades or so. But I'm just bringing like a couple of blades here and there up into the snow as well, so it wouldn't look so bad. Like a pot sitting on the ground. So give it a bit of a texture there. And bringing that up, bringing that up, bringing that up, bringing that up. There we go. We have this one. I might have actually wanted to put a couple of snowflakes, or at least snowflake or two, coming into the spoon as well, because that would be kind of cute. Yeah, I think that kind of adds to it. Okay, so that's enough of this green, and now I'm taking the lightest, kind of a correct tone green there is. That's quite light, so I need to be sparing with it. And just putting some tiny textures in with that one. Trying to make them different angles, different lengths. You know. Just a bit of variety here and there. And I'm pulling some up to toes as well, and over the bits of the mouse itself, which makes the mouse more of a part of the scene here. There we go. Just very tiny ones. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to go overboard with it, otherwise I'm going to just overwork it. And now the last thing is going to be something sparkly into the snow. I almost feel like we don't need it badly, but I have it out, and therefore we're going to have some. Now I'm going to put this one away, so I have room to move around here a bit. Okay, things went under the table. You didn't see that, but you have to take my word for it. And now I have to test if... I should have actually tested before I started filming, but will that bottle work? Because I might have to do the... Oh yeah, yes, it does. And this one now, I'm taking an old, really tired brush. Let me see, I'm pulling from my crappy brushes pocket. Second. Of course, I have loads of crappy brushes, and if I'm looking for one, then of course I can't find one. Okay, I took that one. That's one of the really tired ones. And now this is icicle stickles. It's a bit chunkier glitter. It's entirely a matter of taste and whatever you have at hand. I don't want to put it now totally everywhere, and I don't want to put like huge amounts of it, so I'm actually using the end of the brush here, to be honest, not the brush itself. And I'm kind of spreading it out a bit. This one tends to come out of the bottle really fast and loose. So I'm actually taking the end of the brush like this and kind of flattening it, smearing it around a bit like that, making it a little bit less chunky. And I just think it looks better as well. Okay, and once again, you know, if I just leave it like this, it's just going to be a bit too much. But I will add it here and there. Oops. Yeah, it comes out so quickly, and so much of it that it's almost excessive. And you could see how now if I move it, how the shading needed to be pretty strong underneath the glitter, because that glitter kind of tends to take over. Okay, and let me see, here, 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 here. I know if it looks like I just dab it on, that's what I'm doing. I am going to kind of move it around with the end of my brush again. And it doesn't need to be covering everything. In fact, it's actually better if it doesn't cover every single bit of your image. And that, you have some places where there's a little bit more, and there's some places where there's none. So I think it looks better when it's a bit unevenly applied. There we go. Okay. There we are. Okay, we're getting there. Right here it looks like it's still quite thick, so I might kind of dab it down or pat it down a bit. And adding some extra here, adding some extra here, adding some extra here. I tend to put it a bit into more highlighty areas, but because that's where the sparkle would be, that's where the sun would hit. Okay. There you go. And once again, taking that end of the brush. Like this could be anything, but sometimes depending on how I do things, I do use just actual brush as well. But in this instance, I'm just using the end of the brush. I feel like it works the best here, the way I'm applying it. And as I said, I mainly use it to kind of flatten things a bit and smear them out in a bit more controlled way, so it would be where I want it to be. I should have actually put the outline down before I put the glitter down, but hey, we'll cope, we'll manage. I will want to put some outline down though, kind of like for that circle I like to have some sort of an outline. I might do it in silver. Okay, putting a bit there, putting a bit there, bit there, bit there. And it will look better once it dries. It kind of flattens out a bit, and it will look kind of, I don't know, natural, kind of look a bit prettier once it's actually dry. But, I am not going to, obviously. You'll see that when the finished pages. Yeah. I'm not going to be waiting until it's all flat, Because that's going to be pretty much in a couple of hours, and it's a late night. And I would like to try and put this video out so it would be, the series would be the way it's been so far, that pretty much it's going to be on consecutive days, that there's no long gaps between the videos. They just go out very close to each other, and I would like to do that with this video as well. Therefore, I need to try to get it all sorted and edited and upload it tonight. And it's already quite late, so I'm not going to wait until the glitter dries. Nope. But I don't think you really wish for that either. We all know how glitter looks. Okay, do you know what? I have feelings. I think I want to put a specific stickles onto these pom-poms as well. I would like the frosted lace stickles on them. I have to find it first though, just a second. I know I have it. Where's my frosted lace? Yep, found it. I hope it's working. Once again, Nothing is guaranteed. But let's put down the outline for the circle first. And I need to now essentially turn it upside down because otherwise I'm going to slam my hand right into the wet glitter. And I will not enjoy that. Okay, sip of water. Oh, that really helped. And I have the silver out, so I might as well go for it. I don't think the gold would look right here. I might do the purple as well, but I think it might be a bit too harsh, possibly. So I need to do this now because, as I said, I don't need my fingers in glitter. So I'm just going over that outline. Okay, moving it up. And here I'm working around those snowflakes that I made to come out of the frame. Okay, moving. So my hand stays in the correct angle. I also want to put some of the stickles into some of the snowflakes in the sky, or at least something glittery, but you know, it needs to be transparent glitter, obviously. So frosted lace might work there too, and I make some of them more fluffy. We'll see. Okay, and now I can turn it again. And it just kind of finishes off the image. And you do that final framing exercise. It just looks much nicer and neater and cleaner. And as I said, just finished, you know. I like frames. Not super elaborate ones, but I do like an image is gently framed. Okay, so did I actually... I think I might have gotten some stickles into my... Okay, I got it working again. Just putting that down. I think I got some stickles into my pens. It kind of disliked me intensely for a moment. Okay, so we have this one done. So now I need to figure out if I can get my frosted lace working. Let me see, I need to move that from here so I wouldn't accidentally put my hands into glitter. This is the frosted lace. Stickles, sorry, I was upside down. Once again. Frosted lace, this one, it is kind of a matte glitter. It's not sparkly at all, but it does have kind of, it has a slight kind of a sheen and sparkle, but it's much subtler and gives more of a texture. So I wanted to, I don't know if you can even see, if I can get quite close to it. This is that here. If I move it gently, it has that very, very subtle. I like that one. A lot of people I have seen, you know, when they have got, not a lot, but I've seen fair few people when they got that glitter and they were super disappointed it's not sparkly. And it doesn't, it's not meant to be. It's meant to be kind of a more of a texture, more of a subtle effect. So I'm going to put a little bit of it into that pom-poms, which will add them, you know, a bit of a texture and interest without making them like super sparkly. But they still have that bit of a shine to them. And then I will also dab it into some of the snowflakes. Not all, but some. I think that's a super, you know, I like that stickles a lot. I'm kind of almost biased. Every time that people say, oh, that's a disappointment, it's like, no, it's not. It's great. It's really lovely. Because if you actually want something to look like real snow, if you put that texture down, no, it won't super sparkle, but it actually looks like genuine snow. And I went for super sparkly effect because I just felt like super sparkles, okay? But I still like to add a bit of that here and there. So great stuff. Great stuff. So I think we're finished, aren't we? There we are. That's our Matchstick mouse. Oh, I wanted to do her eye highlight here a bit brighter and maybe bigger. Yeah. Just like that to wake the eye up a bit more. Now, there we are. That's it. That's the whole process. I hope you had a good time. If you followed through all with me all these videos, thank you very much for watching. Highly appreciate it. Leave your comments and ideas in the comments box, of course. If you have any other suggestions that you would like me to do, or any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And if you want to have kind of a live chat or talk to me and give me ideas directly, then on Saturdays, nowadays, Saturday evenings, here in the evening, it's GMT 10 o'clock Irish time, but it's, I think, 5 p.m. at Eastern Standard Time. I have lives nowadays on Saturdays, so you can pop in, say hello, have a chat with me, have a laugh. We had a great time so far in them, so yeah, you'd be welcome to pop in. Anyways, thank you so much. Once again, be happy, be healthy, stay creative, and I hope to see you on my channel soon. Bye bye.